Hello, YouTube land. This is Brenton Sawin coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Um, I haven't recorded anything here for a while. I've had other things I've been doing, but I'm getting back to the show now, and hope y'all have been patient enough to still like me. But anyway, if anybody out there has a story they'd like to share, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com, and I have a few people like Greg, I'll just say some of their first names, and David and Tim. I'll be getting to you here this week, so don't think I've ignored you. And then there's some other people too, and a few people had their numbers change. If you're listening and your number has changed and you emailed me, I've tried to call a few of you and your numbers are different, so email me your new number if you're still interested. And if anybody out there wants to contribute to help with the show, you can go to PayPal me in the description and make a contribution there. And also, if you want to go to my Patreon, you can maybe donate $2 a month, $5 a month, something like that, something that won't hurt you, and be a Patreon and really help out, and it helps set a budget and things like that, where I could plan on going on some trips with my two new thermal cameras. I plan on going and hitting some of the woods and see if I can find some Bigfoot. We'll see what happens, but I've got two cameras now that are infrared and have military grade lenses. And one of them actually records video. You don't just look around with it and have to hold your phone up to the screen or the camera or something. But anyway, we have a guest tonight that has a very interesting story. She emailed me here a little while back. Her name is Lauren, and I'm just going to let her introduce herself, and we'll get into her story. Hello, Lauren.
Hi, Brenton. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. If you would, just give an introduction of yourself there, like where you're from, kind of where this happened, things like that, and kind of, set the stage for us on where you were. You might even live at a different place now, and then get into your story, and I'll have some questions for you after you're done.
Perfect. Okay, so my name's Lauren. I used to live in the States. I'm up here in Canada now, in British Columbia. And where this happened was in Cle Elum, Washington, back when I was 8 years old, living out there during elementary school years. And it's a nice little town, Cle Elum is, and it's actually grown a lot since I've been down there. I haven't been back in years. But yeah, and it's been so long since this memory happened. I actually had to talk to my mom about it and really get her, because she was the one that saw it with me, and just kind of get her rendition of it too, because there's a couple of things that I had talked to you about in the email that actually weren't totally exactly as they were, because I was young. And I think actually maybe the reason why I was asking my mom about it, I was like, why am I not remembering it as clearly as you? And I don't know, maybe because I was younger, and I think maybe also it might have traumatized me. Like I might have gotten borderline traumatized by it and kind of had like not an amnesic barrier, but like made it a little less scary maybe in my brain as I was growing up. I kind of created a little different stuff going on. Like it wasn't totally different, but just a few things that I just didn't remember totally clearly. So, but anyways, what happened was one night, me, my mom, my sister, and my stepdad were driving home, and I remember it being like pitch black, but my mom actually was saying, no, Lord, it was actually dusk. It was just getting dark. Like it was dark enough for the lights in the street to be on, but it wasn't totally pitch black. So driving down the road, it was on the outskirts of town, and we were driving to our house. And my sister and I were in the back seats, and my sister was sleeping. And I was 8 years old at the time, so my sister's 2.5 years younger than me. So she was little and sleeping, so she didn't wake up for any of it. And my stepdad was driving, and my mom was in the passenger seat, and driving down the road and up ahead. And I thought that there weren't any street lights. But there was, apparently my mom said that there was, and that's what I think, like the illumination that I was telling you about, Brenton, from this thing, I don't think it actually illuminated on its own. I think it was the combination of the car lights and the street light that made it look white. The way I was telling you, it was this white bipedal figure but it wasn't. It was not actually white. My mom was saying that it was actually. So what happened was we saw this thing. It was illuminated by our street light, or by the street light and our headlights, and it started walking across the street. And it wasn't totally across. It hadn't even hit the street by the time we were seeing this thing. And we told my stepdad. Both of us were like, "Stop! Like stop the car! Can't you see this?" And my stepdad, he couldn't see it at all. He was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And we're just like, stop, like, please just stop. And he does, and he was all mad at us. Like he was all like, what are you guys, he was the whole time, like, he's just like, what are you guys talking? We're just like, quiet. We're trying to watch this thing. And, my mom's like, Lauren, do you see this? Do you see this? I'm like, yeah. And we're watching it, and it starts walking across the street, and it didn't even notice us. Like, it didn't stop when it saw us, I don't even know if it saw us. It probably did, maybe sensed us. But anyway, it's walking across the street, and it was taller than the stop sign that was there at the intersection. So it had to be taller than a man. Like, no one's taller than us down on the street. So it was taller than a man, or taller than the street sign at least. And it was walking across, and it was definitely bipedal, and it was heavily cloaked. Like, you couldn't see its face. It had like a hood on it. And so you couldn't see its face, and it was totally cloaked. You couldn't see arms or anything. And it was cloaked almost down to its feet, but its feet were showing, and its feet were not human feet. They were hooved. They were hooved feet, and they were inverted legs, like a goat's legs. And it was kind of moving, and it was shuffling back and forth across the road, like a shuffle kind of walk. But what was really, really strange, that really caught me off guard, was the fact that it was moving so slowly across the road, like so slowly. And when you looked at its feet, it was like really, really fast. Like, the feet were moving way faster than you would think that it would be able to. But like, it was weird. It was very surreal. That part really tripped me out. And then it shuffled across the road, and I mean, we watched it for probably like a good 40 seconds or more. Felt like forever, but it was a long time to have a glimpse of this. And I was asking my mom, I'm like, I remember it being white, and my mom's like, no, it was not white. It was illuminated from the car lights, but it actually was in a very dark, dirty brown kind of cloak. And my mom, she's kind of sensitive about certain things. Like, I've got another story after this that I want to tell you guys about what she's seen as well, other than this. But she has a sense on these things, and she said that what she sensed from it was that it was evil, and that it was looking for somewhere to inhabit, like a home or something to start causing havoc in people's lives. That's what my mom thought. She definitely thought it was a demon. That's what she told me, and she didn't tell me we were talking about it, but like, that's what she sensed, and that's what she felt. And I mean, I was only 8 years old, so I just kind of like, yeah, it must have been. But like, it was all very strange, the fact that my dad couldn't see it, or my stepdad couldn't see it, and that me and her did. And I thought, like I was telling you, Brenton, that it was actually, it went across, after it walked across the street, I thought it moved out of sight past the building. But actually, there was no building there. My mom told me that there was no building, and that it actually just had vanished. Like, it was there, and then all of a sudden it wasn't there. It was just like that. And so it makes me think, like, why I had made up these kind of different things about the building being there, and the fact that, like, it was illuminated, and that it was pitch black. Like, all these little things had changed in my own memory of it. But so yeah, that's the first story that happened. And yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, for one thing, when something is so far abnormal and scary, and freaky, you can sense if something's evil or not, even when you're a kid.
Oh yeah,
if something's not right, it's kind of scary.
And the thing about it too was that it was surreal. Like, I didn't actually feel scared at the time. I don't remember feeling scared anyway. It was like, does not compute in my head. I just couldn't. that it was very abnormal.
Right.
So it was
Right.
just like,
Yeah.
whoa, what is that, right?
Your mind, yeah, at first your mind's trying to make sense of it, and I think that's what you were doing. Since it disappeared, your mind had to make sense of it. It walked behind a building. So your
Right.
mind places something like that there to make sense of what happened, because that's the only thing it could do, is go behind something to
Right.
disappear, you know?
It had to have. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right?
Yeah, and since I've had my own encounters, I've encountered something, and I wasn't scared at first, but then
Right.
then I got
Afterwards
scared.
you are.
Yeah, after my mind computed, okay, this doesn't make sense. This scares me.
Or,
You know, it took
exactly.
me a minute to get the
Well,
switch.
yeah, we didn't go to bed that night. We came home and we were both like freaked out after we got home and like, what was that? Like, whoa. But at the time, yeah, we were both just like, whoa, like, you know, more curious in my head. I was just like, what is that, right, at the time?
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, goat feet. I mean, come on. You know,
Yeah,
that
was
can't be good. You know,
no, right? Oh,
bad
and
stuff.
I'm happy I didn't see its face. Like, I'm happy it didn't turn and look at us or anything like that. I would have been like, I don't even know. That would have been crazy.
So it had a hooded robe like thing on.
Yeah, it was heavily cloaked. Like, it looked, because it looked bigger than its feet. Like, its feet were really, it was just goat feet, right? They looked thin. It looked thin, but it was like as if it was heavily cloaked. So it was big, but I think it was just all these cloaks that it had on it or something. I don't know. It was weird.
What do they call those?
Very
Scowled or something like that? Scowled. I think,
Yeah.
with
It didn't have a
robe.
point to the hood. It was definitely a rounded hood. There was no point up, you know, like anything like that. But it was definitely a hood. It was definitely hooded. I didn't see any horns. I didn't see nothing like that. But it was definitely a hooded, goat-footed bipedal figure.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've had stories, you know, come to me of Dogman being hooded, wearing those kind of scowled like things, and even the Darrow.
Yeah. Hey.
There's one case, Steve Brody. He encountered the Darrow, and they had that on. And then someone else had a Darrow story, and they had that on. And then it's several Dogman stories, and one of them, the Dogman jumped on the back of the car, and broke the glass, and they took off and got home, and that his garment he was wearing was hung up in the glass. It tore it off of him.
Whoa.
Imagine
that's
burning that.
crazy.
It's like, burn that.
Yes.
Take it off the property and
Totally.
burn it.
Yes.
We ain't
Oh my
keeping it.
gosh, that would be. No, yeah, that's some crazy. That would be like physical evidence stuff. Like, no, I believe people when they talk about things like this. Like, it's not something to be, it's not something to be famous for. It's something like the reason why I'm coming out with this.
So
with
this
these
was in
stories,
this was in Washington State.
Yeah, Cleveland,
Okay.
Washington. Yeah, it's a tiny little town.
Okay, was there woods nearby, stuff like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, a lot of times when you have these kind of things happen, and someone's doing get together, seance type stuff, or sacrifice kind of thing, and these creatures are there.
I believe in that.
Yeah, me
and my mom both think that too. We think maybe there was some kind of gathering going on,
Right.
or it was like maybe it was looking for something to possess, something to, I don't know, you know.
Right.
But my mom felt like it was on the hunt for something. That was the sense she got, was that it was looking for something.
Yeah. Huh.
When she looked at it, yeah. And
Interesting.
the reason why I want to bring all this stuff up anyway and be on the show is I've never heard of anybody else see what I've seen. Like, I've heard of people see things, ghosts and that and whatever. Never heard of anybody tell me, or because so it would be interesting to maybe get if some of the viewers out there that listen to the show, if they know of anybody, it's seeing something like this, because it was crazy. It was a crazy thing.
And I think I had one lady on the show that had a Dogman encounter, and it had horns, and I think one of them had hooves, and they were dancing in a circle or something like that. I could,
trippy.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that, but I mean I've heard of it before. You know what I'm saying? You're not the only one.
For sure.
So you said when it was walking, it was moving slow, but his feet were moving really fast.
Yeah. It was was weird. It was moving really, really slow across the road, and that's why we had a fair amount of time to watch it, because it was going so slow. And then, I leaned forward to look over the car, because I was in the back seat, and I couldn't see its feet obviously when it was right in front of the vehicle, but when it was kind of passed off to the side, I looked over and I could see these hood feet, and they were shuffling very fast, like that, but like in a weird shuffling movement. It wasn't like a straight on walk, like a human gait. It was like a very weird shuffling. And almost like as if it should have been hunched over, like it was like shuffling very fast, like as if it should, but it wasn't hunched over. It was definitely standing tall, and it was weird.
So how close did it get to the car?
So I think I was asking my mom, because that's kind of stuff I wouldn't have remembered much, but I think she was saying we didn't stop right at the stop sign, right at that line, because that's where he was. It was whatever. It was, we were probably maybe 12, 14 feet away.
Yeah, I mean, because you had to be fairly close for you not to be able to see its feet looking over the...
Yes, exactly.
Feet.
Like, we weren't too far, but we weren't too close either. Like, because my dad didn't see it, right? So he couldn't tell how far to come forward or close. He just stopped. As soon as we told him to stop, he just stopped. And he had gotten so close, right? But he hadn't gotten right up to that stop sign.
So was he not looking, or was he not looking?
No, he was looking right in front. We were pointing at it. We were watching him. He could not see it at all. He was like, "What are you guys talking about?" And we were both our hands. I remember my hand pointing out from behind the back seat, and my mom at the same time. We both pointed, and we go, "Look, right there!" And we followed it with our fingers, and we were watching it, and we followed it, and my dad couldn't see it. He couldn't see it at all.
Do you think maybe he was seeing a hooded figure, and he just couldn't imagine that's what you're pointing at?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got mad at him about it too, because that's what we thought too. We're like, you see this, you have to see this. Like, don't lie to us. Like, we see it too. Like, and he's like, no, I don't see anything. So I don't know. My stepdad, he's an ex-stepdad now, so maybe that has something to do with, like, I don't know. He just didn't. I don't know. He didn't see it, and he didn't. He never ever said he did ever since, ever since then. He never said anything, and he just thought we were crazy. And he actually, when we came home that night, we were, me and my mom were both talking like, whoa, what was this? He just went straight to bed. Like, he was just like, you guys are crazy. Like, Lauren, Jeannie, don't let Lauren stay up all night, because I was only 8. And she's just like, you know what, Marty, you can, whatever.
Go on to bed.
We don't even know. Go on to bed. You don't even know. Like, we know what we
You'd
saw.
You'd be up with us if you hadn't been looking.
Exactly. Oh, and no, he couldn't have missed it. He could not have missed it. We were in the same vehicle. He had the same line of view. No, he would have seen it. If he could have seen it, he would have.
Yeah.
And then that's what kind of weirded us out too, because like, maybe we were shown it for a reason. Maybe me and my mom were meant to see it for a reason. Like, maybe God wanted us to see it. I'm not sure. Like, we were kind of, when we were talking, we were kind of thinking that too. Like, I don't know why, what God had in, why he gave us that sight at that time. Because if my dad didn't see it, or my stepdad didn't see it, I don't know another reason why we would be privy to that, right?
Well, I've heard cases. One of the first times I ever heard this was there was like there was 2 guys that were sitting on top of this building, and it was like in town, somewhere, kind of a small town kind of thing. But they're on the roof. It was a flat type roof that you could go up on, And they said there was this UFO that was coming over the power lines, and it was sucking power off of the power lines. And he said that there was people walking by. Him and his friend were sitting there looking at it and wondering why the people down there couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And,
selective viewing. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's some things that are so bizarre that people's brain won't let them see it.
Yeah, that could be that too. That could be what my stepdad, like, he might have seen it, but his brain, it would have broke him. I don't know, if he would have, and his brain to save his sanity,
I kind of believe that's true in some ways.
I do too. I can believe that for sure. I mean, if you believe in people getting amnesic barriers when they have trauma base in their life, then you can then that could totally, go into other forms of, protect the brain protecting itself, right?
Right. And another case I heard was someone I know was right down the street from where I lived, and she basically stopped at the stop sign, and she seen this big UFO that was hovering over a house, and it was just maybe 30, 40 feet away, and there was people walking around, and they weren't seeing it either. But then she ended up talking to a friend of hers later, and her friend saw it and said, I was really tripped out because other people weren't seeing this. And and then she said when she was driving off and looking at this thing, and it was really weird looking lights and stuff, like alternating around on it. She said as she was walking off, it was projecting thoughts to her saying, "You didn't see this. You didn't see this." And she goes, "Oh, yes, I did." And it kept saying to her, "You didn't see it. You didn't see it."
Yeah.
And that's real common in the UFO abduction stuff is that they'll say, "You're not going to remember this." And they'll say, "Yes, I am going to remember it,"
Yeah, exactly. Hey? No, that's, so that makes sense too, when it comes to my story, because, the fact that my stepdad didn't see it, and the fact that my memories of it are a bit skewed, maybe this thing did have some kind of power over memory, and maybe it did have some power over that, right? Maybe it.
Well, I think you thinking it was white is understandable if the lights were shining bright on it.
Yeah.
And then, thinking it went behind a building because it disappeared, your mind would want to, make some reason, rationalize, why. So, yours makes sense in a lot of ways that
for sure.
You saw what you saw, but your mind added a couple things there to make it more sensible.
Right.
But good thing your mom saw it, and so she
I know. And it's trippy. It was weird too because I emailed you. I told you the story that I remember. That's how I remembered it before my mom told me anything. And then she tells me all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, actually. And then when I think about it, that all kind of makes sense. And it does. When I really think back, and I was telling my mom, why can't I remember this the way you do? And she's like, I don't know. Maybe because you're young. I don't know. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah,
really
it
weird.
Sounds like a Baphomet type creature to me. Of course, you're not seeing the face
sure.
and all. I don't know if it was human upper body or if it was just completely.
Completely goat. I'm not sure.
Who knows for sure, but it sounds Baphometish to me. With the hooves.
It sounded. It definitely sounded. It definitely seemed like a demon of some kind. Seemed like it was hunting for something, and it let us see it for some reason.
Yeah, and that's someone doing witchcraft in the area. Those things
Must
are called forth, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and Cle Elum's a very isolated area, and not to say anything about famous people or whatever, but if you've delved into the satanic ritual stuff, it seems like a pretty easy spot to do that stuff undercover without a lot of people knowing. Because it is an isolated little town, and I think, I wouldn't put it past. I wouldn't put it past anything. I definitely, that could totally be a possibility for sure.
All right. Well, what was your next story?
So my next story, I was not around for this. This was my mom's and only my mom's, but it was very weird. So how old was I? I was in 10th grade. I was spending the night at a friend's house, so that's why I wasn't around. And I think my sister was too. I'm not sure. Or she was sleeping, or I can't really remember what had happened there. But anyway, so my mom was sleeping in her bed. She was in the upper. We were a 2-story house. This was in Windsor, Colorado. And so we were living there. We had a 2-story house. She was up on the upper story in her bedroom. She was in a deep sleep. She gets woken up in the middle of the night. I don't remember what time she said it was. And she woke up to all this chaos, like sounds of chaos, like babies crying and police alarms, or like police cars going by and fire hydrants, dogs barking, and just anything, people arguing, like couples arguing, all these things all at once. She was hearing what she explained was just chaos. And she heard it coming from down the road, and she felt it or heard it get louder and louder until it was right in front of the house. So she gets up because she's like, what is going on? And she runs to her window to look down into the road because her window looked out onto the main road. and we were in another small town. Like, this wasn't a city. This was just a small little town as well. And she looks outside, and we across the street, we had a neighbor who had this tree in their yard. Not a really big tree, not a heavy tree. It was more like a bush tree. And she sees, she said she probably saw 60 of these. It was a horde, she said. She called it a horde of demons, she said. And they were like these very white, like, what did she say? Was it white? White eyes, piercing white eyes, like all white and glowing. And they were staring. All 60 of them were staring at our house. And she just felt instantly, she just knew, she has this sense of things. She just knew that it was a horde of demons, and they were passing through, and they were looking at our house, and she had this sense like they wanted to get into the house, but they couldn't because we're protected by God. And she looked at them. She's just like, whoa. And she turned around, she went back into bed, and she prayed. She just kept praying to let them pass. And after, I think she said after like a half an hour, 45 minutes, and like I don't know if the chaos, like the sounds of chaos were going on the whole time. I'd have to ask her again. But anyway, she kept praying or whatever. And after, like half an hour, 45 minutes, she heard the chaos start up again, and it moved slowly down the road again. And she could hear these dogs barking, babies screaming, people arguing. Like, it was crazy. And it was in the middle of the night. Like, it was intense. And she was like, how could no one else have heard that? Like, no one else in the neighborhood, it didn't look like lights were being turned on and people were actually hearing this going on, but she could. And so anyway, yeah, she saw this horde of demons, pass through the town in the middle of the night. And, and she prayed them away. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Thank goodness, man.
Yeah.
Just think if you didn't have God protecting your house, what would have happened?
Oh, I know. That's what, God. Well, she would have just been. And and I think when you don't have God, when you don't have God to protect you like that, first off, you don't see this stuff, as readily. You don't have the eyes for it. You're not awake. And I don't even know if she would have even noticed if she wouldn't have God's protection. She probably wouldn't even have noticed, like the other people didn't.
I don't know. They can
I don't know either. I mean, that's just my idea, but
I've had
it was tricky.
I've had that before. Wake up and hear chaos sound. And it's like a bunch of different kind of weird sounds, but it's like a whole ruckus of stuff. It's like, you can't really make one thing out too good. It's just a bunch of noise.
Chaos.
And believe me, I instantly start praying, and and it goes away. It's like, first thing you know, something ain't right, and I've had people contact me and had the same thing happen, and I remember this one girl, she said she woke up and she heard it was like all noisy, and she said it sounded like wet baby feet running across the floor. That really stuck out to me, man, because like, dude, that sounds spooky. Well,
that doesn't sound fun, yeah.
It's like, ouch.
Does not sound fun.
It'd be playing real hard, boy, got wet baby feet sound going on, boy, dang. And she was seeing shadow people and stuff, It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So
no, that stuff is, and I think she was saying she was like, it was this, it was creating it, like they were making things happen, like they were making, like as they were going down the road, things would happen, kind of thing. Like it was as if this energy was creating chaos everywhere she went, everywhere it went. Sorry.
And I think the dogs barking sounds was dogs.
Probably what? Yeah,
the
it
dogs
probably
pick
was.
up on
They were sensing them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so.
Because whenever I've had attacks come on me, sometimes the first thing I would hear would be the dogs making a ruckus in the neighborhood, and then it's like, and then an attack comes, and and then have to pray it off, and it's very, very scary stuff, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I didn't know the Lord. It'd be hard to live, man, without it.
You'd be in constant. You'd be lost, right? You wouldn't know. You would be there not knowing how to protect yourself.
I mean, you see
exactly.
You see cases like on TV when they have these ghost adventures and stuff, and these people are thinking these are really ghosts, and they're not. They're demonic beings posing as people.
Exactly.
And then they, they'll call someone to come smudge their house, and that stuff never works. it might work for a day, but then it's back stronger, a day or so, and finally they'll maybe have someone say, well, we think it might be demonic, and then they'll call someone in that exorcise their home, and then it goes away,
and then it works. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, you can't. That's the thing. There's no one to call for this kind of stuff. You have to be spiritually protected. You have to have that the armor on, man.
Yeah, and the Lord doesn't mind protecting you either. If you belong to the Lord, He will protect you. And,
of course, that's the whole point. I mean, He's here to fight. He's here to fight that, right? We're all here to fight that evil. So, no, that's part of that's part of it, right?
And typically they can't come in any way, but sometimes you kind of might invite something unintentionally.
Yeah.
And still even be a Christian.
No, for sure.
And, not that they could harm you badly or something, but it could bring some attention that could scare you, And,
well, and like everybody has their challenges in life, right? So maybe God, needed, it's testing your faith too, right? Sometimes, I don't know, it could be that too.
Apostle Paul was even tormented. Some people's like, when you talk about the thorn in the flesh thing, they say, well, it was this or that. He had a back problem. He told us what it was. He said there was a messenger sent from Satan to buffet him. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's a messenger, it has to be something that can bring a message. You know what I'm saying?
Right, like a demon.
Yeah, it wasn't a back problem. A back problem is not a messenger. From Satan. What kind of message is that?
Exactly. Yeah, so, when did anybody ever in any history call a back pain
a messenger? I got me a back messenger
Satan.
Problem in my back.
I got a messenger from Satan in my back. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
crazy,
it doesn't.
Man.
No, it's totally true. Like you gotta, when you read the Bible, you have to use your own spiritual discernment. But I feel like a lot of the time it's telling you what it is verbatim.
You remember in Acts where he had this woman following him around, saying, "Oh, make way for the servant of the Most High God," and she was following him around doing this, and it was really bothering him because he knew that this wasn't right, what she was doing.
Right.
And he said that he prayed 3 times for her to depart from him, and the Lord said that my grace is sufficient. And he finally ended up just rebuking the thing out of her, and then the people got mad at him because they made money with her, evil talents that she had. She fortune tell and all that kind of stuff, and it makes me wonder if that was the messenger from Satan that was sent, because it doesn't you know what I'm saying? Because it followed him around.
For sure, she was a channel. She was the channeler. She was the body that this thing used. It could be that. Totally.
It was buffeting him. It was disturbing to him that
Yeah.
You don't
introduce
as a servant of the Lord. You don't introduce yourself as a servant of the Most High God in some kind of a lavish way to make you seem bigger. You do it humbly.
It's all about being humble.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He counted himself to be the least.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
Yeah, no, that was a really weird one. I actually, I guess my mom was like, you should tell them about this one too, because this was really crazy. My mom told me this, again, when she was talking to me. She's seen, when she's out in South Dakota now, and she sees, orbs, at a time she'll see one, it's usually one, and it pulses. It's like a really bright star, but it's way too big to be a star. And it comes out, and at certain times when she's out on the patio, or certain times when it's a very bright white pulsing orb that comes out and sees her. Or she sees it pretty frequently. Just in the last couple of years, she's been saying that she sees these floating white orbs in the sky around her, and only one at a time usually.
Yeah, I've never seen one of those, man.
Me either. But maybe that could be I was thinking maybe that's like an angel or a I don't know, could be something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
No.
It could be.
Because
either
there's
way,
beautiful miracles just as they're evil. There's evil visions, and there's also very beautiful, inspiring spiritual visions too that can happen for sure.
They're definitely real. I mean, there's a lot of people that see them, and I get pictures of them a lot, man. But it's hard to post those kind of things because they can be camera flares, and
I know, so, it's hard. People are also,
Yeah, it's hard to be convinced. It's hard to prove that that's what it is,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I've had a few though sent to me that were really good. I've made a few videos on them.
That's cool.
But yeah, I know
Yeah.
people sometimes that see him around the Bigfoot activity. And I remember one story, a Bigfoot story, where the Bigfoot was carrying one.
An orb.
Yeah, was carrying it. Yeah.
Wow.
Very strange.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's very
I
strange.
wonder what's all
well,
that's
I mean,
about.
they talk.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, from like I listen to you guys. Like, first off, I love the way you interview too, because you let the interviewers talk, and I think that's just one of the best things about like, an interviewee, a person that interviews other people. Cause
I've had my interrupting problems though. But I try to
of
get. I try
course.
not to do it
Everybody
so much.
goes through that. But you've gotten good at it.
I get excited,
I listen to your
man.
stuff. I know. I'm the same way. I'll try to talk to someone and get all excited about something, and then I'll cut them off, and I don't know if I'd be the best interviewer. I've always wanted to. That would be fun. But yeah, no, I was listening to some of your shows with other people, and like, and I've done my own research, and it could be that they are, spiritual in some way, or like multidimensional, like some people say they are, or whatever. I don't know. Like it could be, or maybe they're just so in tune with nature, the way we were supposed to be, that they have these talents and these abilities that, just kind of evolved because of how close to Mother Nature, not just like instinct that animals have, right? We all have instinct, but like real sense of like, seasons changing and that kind of stuff. Like I think that has there's an energy in there, and like I think maybe they harness it in some way.
Well, I think the angels of light, I think that they can travel in that kind of form, in an orb form.
For
and
sure.
even fallen angels are still angels of light. They can transform themselves too, like Apostle Paul said.
Yeah.
He said,
"Marvel
it's true. Not."
They can turn. Yeah, for sure. They can be beautiful. That's the whole point, to try and trick you.
Yeah, right. And he said that they could transform, and one of the words that was used in Greek meant literally change shape. They could transform themselves and make themselves look like something else. And
right.
That's why we hear some of the stories we hear.
Yeah, I think and I think we're a lot closer to the spiritual realm than we think we are. I think it's right close, and we get glimpses of it. It tears through, and I think we, some people are lucky enough to glimpse it.
Yeah, and you think about it, though, the spirit realm will last forever. This one won't. So the spirit realm is more real than this realm.
Exactly.
When we're transformed, when the Lord returns, everyone's going to be transformed and receive a new body, like the Lord already did. When He rose from the dead, He rose His body with Him already. So that's why the Bible said He's firstborn among many brethren.
Right.
So He's got His new body already, and and then when we're transformed, the Bible says that there will be a new heaven and a new earth. So it'll be all, something different.
In the spiritual realm.
Yeah. It'll be different than it is now somehow. And we'll know when we see it. So,
all brilliant. I'm sure it'll be beautiful.
Yeah. And one interesting thing I've been studying about here, one of the reasons I've kind of not done any videos here lately, I've been studying about water. And remember the place in the Bible where it talks about there's 3 witnesses on earth and there's 3 in heaven. And it's in like 1 John, I think it's like 4, 6 through 9 or something like that. But it says that the 3 witnesses on earth are the water, the blood, and the spirit. And then in heaven it's like the word, the spirit, and something or another. I can't remember. I have to look the verses back up. But what was interesting to me is one of the witnesses was water. And when you look at some of the properties of water, I don't know if you've ever seen some of the experiments that have been done by people speaking to water, like speaking some good things, like "I love you," or they might say "I hate you," as you never born, but they would freeze the water and then take pictures of it under magnifying.
Yeah. And it's like the one that's love is all crystalline, and then the one that's not is like coagulated and
ugly
muddy. And
and even they would put drops and let them dry, and they would put a flower petal in the water, and it would dry and leave a pattern of like a flower. It would, so the water is taking on memory of anything that it encounters, anything is said, anything that is thought. It records everything. So when the Bible says it is a witness,
Yeah.
To be a
it's
witness,
a memory.
you
It's a
had to
memory
remember.
holder. Yeah. Yeah, that is very interesting, Brenton. I didn't even think, and that's funny you even brought this up with me on this show, because like I've delved into that research tons, and you know, like, and if you think about, so that's water, right? That's how we're 80% water.
Oh, I know.
Humans are 80% water,
your
so
thoughts
we're
matter.
affected by this stuff, and our thoughts do, and we are as we are witnesses too to this time because of our, you know, like we've got water in us. Maybe that's something to water the blood. And what was the other thing that he said?
And the spirit.
Or like
and then
the
there's
spirit.
the
So right. So maybe we're the witnesses. We're the physical realm witness, and then the spiritual witness. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. That's
that's what I've been diving into, is what is the Bible saying and connecting it. You know, because you even take like the blood of Abel, when it spilled out on the ground, it cried up to the Lord. You know.
Right.
So it has the ability to communicate somehow. To be a witness, you have to be able to communicate and gather information.
Right.
So here you have blood and water that have shown signs of being able to remember and message.
Right.
So that it makes me wonder, like, everything we think, everything we do, it's all recorded. That's why when in the end, your whole life flashes before your eyes and stuff like that, because everything's recorded somewhere, somehow.
Right.
Whether it's the spirit doing it or the water does it or whatever.
Right.
There's a record of everything that's ever happened on this planet. And
well, like, I think also that's like, and it's interesting if you think it, like, if you delve even deeper to that, like, our purpose on Earth. If you think about, like, my theory, I've got a couple of theories, but one of the theories I thought about was, maybe we're experience sponges, like we're here on Earth to experience things and to react to them in the ways that we are going to, because everything happens for a reason, and we're going to choose or not choose, and that's, it's all going to happen the way that it's going to happen, right? So I think when we die, we're taking back those experiences and those memories. We've sucked them all in as a life here on Earth, and we're giving them back to God. We're here to memorize and to take in and to experience, and then take those experiences.
And we have an effect. We have an effect. That's why the Lord wants us to be loving. He wants us to do.
Yeah, we're not here for no reason. We're here for a reason.
Yeah, we affect our environment. I mean, you take some of the experiments they done when they blessed the water, and then they put like rice in the water, and then they cursed the water over here and put rice in it, and the cursed water, the rice would rot way faster.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, I think that should make a person think about how they speak, how they think.
Yep.
Because if you're 80-something% water, then your thoughts in your mouth, where the Bible says that the tongue is an unruly evil, and it's a deadly poison. If you're affecting your water, and that affects tissue,
just from you speaking it,
you can make yourself sick. You can make yourself ill. I mean, is that really where cancer comes from? Is that
It could. I know. Hey, I know. It totally opens up a whole can of worms in that way, for sure. And voices are a vibration, right? We have a frequency and a vibration toward our voices, so that all makes sense too. It all, like, if you think, even just, you take the sciences of all the different things that would make up this theory, it all ties in. It all makes sense, for sure.
Yeah, very interesting. I was gonna, at some point make a video on it and kind of pull it all together and
yeah.
And
I think that'd be really neat. I'd watch it.
From the biblical view of it, and showing what it's different places in the Bible where it talks about water and even our tongues and our lips are all the communication things and how we think even, and I just think it would be interesting to look at it from that perspective, and then what the science shows, and then it might make people think about. Even if you can act ignorant in a private, you're not really getting away with nothing. You're still harming yourself.
Exactly, right? Oh, totally. There's a really good documentary on it called, I don't even know if it's on, it touches on it. It's called Thrive. It's kind of interesting. It talks about energies and how they affect us, and how we can actually, how Tesla was trying to figure out a way to have free energy from taking it from the rotation energy of the Earth. You know how the rotation of the Earth causes energy, right? So, like dynamos, and how like the torus, but like there's a certain type of energetic diagram called the torus, and it's like a donut, and it'll cause this free energy to happen. All that kind of stuff kind of ties.
The Ronin guy, his name's Ronin, come up with that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, it's very interesting stuff. When you put electricity to those, you can make like one of those tourist. You can make it out of like copper wire.
Machine.
You ever seen those people who's making out of copper wire? And they would put, put electricity to it, and they'd put like a magnet in the middle of the donut, and it would shoot that magnet across the room. I mean, just weird stuff, man. It's like, dang, well,
I know.
Make a gun out of that. You know?
Well, even the bullet train in China or wherever, Japan, wherever it is, it's all using just magnets. And it just... So that kind of stuff, we harness that kind of thing. We could have, all of us could have free energy in our homes.
It's a shame they didn't take Tesla serious.
I know, and he died.
Such a waste.
He died so sad. It was so sad. He died totally unrecognized and thinking he's a fool, like he thought he was a fool by the end of it.
Even the Searle generator, you ought to look into that. They didn't take him serious, and they didn't take him serious, and I think that was a waste, because back in 1957 he had a free energy device. I believe it worked. And he proved it, but the the universities and stuff wouldn't let him come forth with it.
Credit him.
They don't want to think that some regular dude might have done something and they didn't do it. It's a shame, for sure.
It is a shame. It is.
Yeah, so those are some of the things I've been thinking about, and because they're mysteries, and
they are definitely
I think they're important things to look at. You never know. You might have
bring the awareness to people.
You might have a viewer that messes around with something like that, and that comes up with
exactly
some kind of device. Like, hey, I made that work. Let's get some free energy.
For sure. And this is what these podcasts are all about, is just coming together, telling each other our stories, and then, support. It's all about support. It's all about, becoming more aware together, and I love it.
Sharing information and stuff, for sure.
Yeah,
well,
totally.
I really appreciate you coming and telling your story.
Thank you.
Very interesting, and
it was fun.
Tell your mom thank you too for letting you share hers, and
she was like, let me know how it goes, because I was wondering if she was going to let me. Like, I didn't know really how she was going to feel about it, but she's like, tell him, totally fine, I think that's awesome, let me know. And I'm like, well, you'll be able to hear it here soon. So
well, if you come up with any more, just holler back, and we'll have
I will
back.
If I can. Well, she's always hearing crazy things. If I ever have another crazy, I'm out here in the woods now, out in BC, out in like the Kootenays, so I might have a Bigfoot experience. I want to. I'm scared to. I don't really want to, but I kind of want to.
It's
I
scary.
want to see them, man. They're scary. I know. I don't know if I want to look for it. It's like, the curious cat.
Oh, well, I'll tell you this.
Killed,
you don't have to go looking for them. I wouldn't go looking for them. Matter of fact, I've had encounters, but I never went looking for them. I went and looked at places I thought, structures and stuff like that. But if you go camping and stuff like that, and you just pay attention, they're there.
They're around.
They are.
Yeah, it's true.
And when I went up there and looked in their area, that was when they came down and like reached in my tent and grabbed me and stuff like that. But they were coming
just
around.
Like you. Oh, I know. I'm sure. I'm sitting here like, I want to see one. And then as soon as I got myself in that situation, I don't think I'd want to. I think I'd totally regret ever wanting to see one. I'd have that sensation going on for sure.
I haven't been camping since then, man. That's going to be tough. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I hear you. That would be very,
close for comfort.
like they just snatch you. They're so big wouldn't even know. Like that one lady that was you were talking to about she had that dream about being picked up from in her tent and carried off, and she met this family Bigfoot, and then she fell asleep with the little one, and then she woke up in her tent. That was a really crazy story. The Native American woman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Man, I've covered so many stories. It's hard for me to remember all of them. But
I hear you.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
No, it wasn't that long ago. But it's hard to, when you get so many, it's like they all kind of start blending. So, but yeah, I do remember that one though, because I remember the tent part. and she was Native
And the little
American.
person in the beginning, it was interesting.
Yeah, I know those are really fascinating stories, man. The little people thing.
I like the little people stories. That's what I kind of look for when I listen to you, is those stories about the little people, because very interesting.
Yeah, I need some more of those, man. If anybody out there has one, contact
Yes,
me. I want to hear it.
I would enjoy it as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lauren, and I guess I'll close out here and just hold on the line.
Sounds
And
good.
everybody out there in YouTube land, thank you for listening, and I hope you
thank
enjoyed
you.
that. And like I said, go join my Patreon. Be a $2 a month Patreon or whatever you think you can do, and I'd appreciate it very much. And till the next time, I'll get you some more stories, and God bless you, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.